Here's a quick gameplay demo for Terrible Lizards. This will take you through the first 2 rounds of a game. First off, each player is dealt 5 cards. We'll keep them face up for now, for clarity. Also, each player has 50 life. Choose someone to go first and someone to go second. Now player 1's turn begins. Each turn you get 2 actions. Actions can be used to play cards or to discard cards you don't want anymore. In their opening hand, player 1 has this card, Bulldozer, which is a great card to start with. Bulldozer allows you to look through the top 5 cards of the deck and attach any parts you find to your dinosaur. Also, you can take any cards you don't use and put them back on the top of the deck in any order. That seems like a great card to play first, so we'll put Bulldozer in the discard pile, then look through the top 5 cards. We've got a couple of dinosaur parts here that we can use, as well as 3 effect cards. We'll go ahead and add those parts to our dinosaur. Then we need to return these cards to the top of the deck, but first we have to decide what order. So let's take a look at what the cards are. First off, we have Trip. Trip makes an opponent take damage equal to their weight. Because my opponent's dinosaur doesn't have any parts yet, it has no weight. So that's not super useful right now. The next card is Bipedal. It's a persistent effect, which means as long as this card is in play, its effect will continue to take place. It gives me an extra action every turn, which is huge. I'd love to have that. Lastly, we have Spinosaur. Spinosaur lets you steal cards from your opponents in certain circumstances. I don't have a particular use for it right now, but it's really good, so I'd like to have it too. I've already played 1 card, and I know I plan to play a second, which means at the end of my turn I'll be drawing 2 cards. That means the top 2 cards in the deck are cards I'll get. Because I want Bipedal and Spinosaur more than I want Trip, I'll put them on top of the deck, with Trip underneath. Then I'll use my second action to attach this Dracoryx head, which gives me a mostly complete dino. Normally at this point I would attack, but because player 2 hasn't had a turn yet, I can't. In Terrible Lizards, you get a chance to draw up to 5 cards at the beginning and end of your turn, which means right now I can draw 2 cards if I want to, and I think I will. Now player 2's turn begins. Player 1 already has a pretty significant dinosaur, so my first priority is evening the odds. To that end, I think I'll begin with this card, Uncharitable Organ Donor. That card will let me steal a part from my opponent's dinosaur. That head is a really powerful card, so I think I'll take it. I don't know exactly what cards my opponent has, but I do know that they were able to use Bulldozer to stack the deck before they drew, so I guess they probably have some pretty good cards. Because of that, I'm going to play Egg Stealer. That lets me look at their hand and take a card from it. It turns out my opponent does have a really good hand, including Rapid Evolution, a card that's not very good for them, but very good for me. It will let me select and discard 1 part of my opponent's dinosaur, so I'll get rid of their body. Leaving their dinosaur is just a set of flippers. That was my second action for the turn, so now it's time to attack. To attack in Terrible Lizards, you start by rolling a die. I've got a 3. Then you're going to add up the attack stats on your cards. Because my entire dinosaur right now is just this head card, I just use that attack, which is 4. Then I subtract the total weight of all of my opponent's cards. Because my opponent just has the 1 card, I just use that 1 number, which is 1. So 4 plus 3 is 7, minus 1 is 6, and I subtract that from my opponent's total 50 health, and they're now at 44. My turn is over, so I'll go ahead and draw up to 5. And we're back to player 1's turn. As I said earlier, you can draw at the beginning or end of your turn. So as player 1's turn begins, they will go ahead and draw up to 5. For our first action, let's go ahead and play Bipedal, that card we picked out a while ago. Bipedal says that it gives us an extra action every turn, beginning the turn it's played, so we still have 2 actions left. Unfortunately, looking through my hand, there's not much I want to play. But I do have this card, Cave-In. Cave-In has all players discard their entire hand, then allows me to draw 5 cards. I'll play that now. So both our hands go to the discards, and then I take the top 5 cards. There's still not a ton here that I really want to play, but I do have these Velociraptor legs, which are significantly better than my Plesiosaur flippers, so I'll go ahead and swap them in instead. Then I can attack. Just like last time, I roll a die, add it to my attack total, and then subtract my opponent's defense. In this case, I rolled a 4, and my legs have 4 attack, so my total is 8. My opponent has 2 defense, so I'll deal 6 damage. Now we're tied up at 44. That's the end of my turn. I don't want to give my opponent another opening for an Egg Stealer or something, so I won't draw. As player 2's turn begins, they can now draw up to 5 cards, which they will since they have none. My opponent has Bipedal, a really nice card that I would really like to have. There's nothing in my hand that will let me steal it, but I do have Tar Pit Diver, a card that lets me play any effect out of the discard pile. Because my opponent just played Cave-In, I know they just dropped Spinosaurus into the discard pile. So I can use Tar Pit Diver to go grab that, and then use that to grab Bipedal. Because Bipedal gives me another action, I still have 2 to spend. So I'll use my next action on Night Dig. Night Dig lets me draw 3 cards and take an additional action. So after I draw, I still have 2 actions to spend. Right now I also have 6 cards in hand. If I end my turn this way, I'll have to discard one of them, so I'd like to use them instead. I'll use one of my actions on Moon Gravity, a card that makes my opponent's weight 0, which means they have no defense against my attacks. Right now my opponent's dinosaur only has 1 defense, but hey, it never hurts. I'll use my other action to attach these Therizinosaurus arms, which are, again, a really good card. Now I'll go ahead and attack, so I roll the die, get a 3. So I add that to the attack of my arms, making 7, and then again to the attack of my head, making 11. Because I just used Moon Gravity, my opponent can't defend, so they take the full 11 and go down to 33. That's it for the first 2 rounds. Hope that clarifies some things. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments or send us an email. Thanks for watching.